All right, so here we have Brad, and Brad can navigate to admin and list all the users. And as an administrator, I should be able to remove other users, right? So let's add that capability. Here in the list of all users, we can add as the last element here, we can add a span with a glyphicon that would allow us to remove a user. So glyphicon remove, there it is. And we're going to pull it to the right-hand side. So we're going to add an X here that if we click on that right, it removes that one user. Okay, so let's, if I click on it, ng-click, this should go where? It should go to model.deleteUser, and it'll pass the user object. All right. Then on the controller side, right, we need to declare that event handler. So this will be something like model.deleteUser is delete user. Okay, and we'll implement it down below. Delete user, and here's the user object, and presumably it's going to use the user service to delete user, passing only the user ID. And I believe we implemented that already in a previous iteration. Now, when it comes back, what we'd like to be able to do is re-render all the users, right? Ideally, which is basically this right here, right? So what we could do is just encapsulate this in a reusable function, maybe called find all users, right? Copy that, and then now we can reuse it. Just reuse it here, and then reuse it here, right? Okay. I believe we implemented that already. So let's refresh that, and let's remove Andrew. Okay, there it is. So we remove Andrew, and then we just refresh the list of all the users. So that's working. That's working. But not everybody should be able to do that, right? Only if I'm in the admin role, I should be able to do that. Okay. So we could use the same exact middleware we wrote earlier, right? Which is admin, right? And put it right here. Right, we could say no. Only an admin could just remove any other user like that, right? But notice that this creates a problem, right? Because now, if I log in as Poe, for instance, no, I don't want to remove Poe. So let's just create some bogus user, not register. Sorry. Register, and let's continue. So there I am. Notice that if I try to unregister and put this on the, if I try to unregister console, ooh, what's this? All right, I'll look at that later. If I try to unregister, notice that I'm getting a 4-1. See that? It's not letting me unregister, okay? Because I protected the delete user, right? And that's okay because the delete user was a little bit too broad, right? It was a little bit too broad. Instead, this unregister is a subset of that broader delete user, right? Only you should be able to unregister yourself, right? You shouldn't be able to just unregister or delete anybody in general. So what we could do is, just like we have on the server side, we have a register. We should have a dedicated unregister functionality, right? That unregisters whoever is currently logged in, right? Notice that this unregister there's no need, for instance, for the unregistered to even pass the ID of the user, right? Because the server already knows who's logged in, right? If you're unregistering, it can only mean that you're unregistering yourself. Okay, so let's rewrite this. Right, let's rewrite it so that on the client side, on the profile controller, user templates. So on the profile, instead of this being delete user for unregistering, there'll be a dedicated OnRegister. And there's no need to pass you anything, right? Because that context already exists on the server. The server knows who's currently logged in already. So on the controller side, for the profile, right, we can write here model.onRegister, right? That basically is going to use the service OnRegister, right? The user service dot OnRegister, okay? And if this is successful, right? If we have successfully unregistered the person, we're just going to kick him out maybe to the home page, right? You no longer exist, right? You're gone, right? You can't log in. You don't exist anymore. So we're going to kick you out to the home page, like that. All right? Okay. Location, unregistered. All right. So, but we don't have this in the client service. So let's write that on the client service. There it is. Let's add here unregister. And it's going to look very, very similar to the register functionality. So let's copy it. Right? It's going to go out to the unregister. It doesn't need to pass in any information, no ID, no anything, right? And on the server side, we need to listen for that incoming request, probably on user service server. There it is, right? And so just like we have a register, we're going to have an unregister. Okay? So it's going to look very similar to our register. And what we're going to do here is this unregister has the user where? It's in the request, right? What are we going to do? We're going to remove that user, right? We're going to remove you for whoever is currently logged in. So this is going to be delete user, and the user ID is where? It's in the currently logged in user, right? Request that user that has an ID. Yes, we know the ID there. It's going to remove the user, and once they are removed, we're going to log them out. We're going to log out the user, right? And when that comes back from logging out, we're just going to send back a status. Actually, we don't even have to wait for that status. We can just send it back right away. Just send back a send status 200, saying, yep, it's been removed, right? And it has been logged out. Okay, so let's try that. Let's try logging in again. So let's log in. So we're able to log in. Let's click on unregister, and it kicks us out to the home page. And if I try to log in again as what was it? Log in. It doesn't let me log in. Okay, makes sense. So now we have it separate, right? Separate from one another. All right. So now we have the admin or Brad, right? Being able to remove separate from, separate from folks being able to unregister themselves. So they're separate. Okay. So now let's play around with being able to manipulate the roles. As an admin, perhaps I want to promote someone else to have a different role. I'm going to make somebody else an admin as well. All right, so let's play around with that next.